Shakeology.
Now, you talk about the fact that we have these overages, we're testing our products a lot. If I'm not mistaken, we had an interesting situation where we'd actually been under-reporting the amount of protein that
Yes.
we had in our Shakeology, right? And that label claim.
Yeah, the formulation didn't change. It's just the fact that we had almost 2 grams more protein consistently in Shakeology than we were claiming on the bag. And consequently, and that was consistently 2 grams more. Well, that's a significant increase. So let's don't decrease the amount of protein. Let's just show on there that we're coming in with 2 grams more protein higher than we'd be claiming.
And so that part, if I'm not mistaken, was one of the reasons why we rounded from 1/4 down, instead of rounding down, that was easy for me to say. Instead of rounding down to 140, we've now rounded up to 150 in the calories in chocolate. Is that
That's
correct?
right. And we've gone from 140 to 150. The formulation has not changed. It never changes. What happens is we test every batch. We keep those records for every batch to be sure that we're meeting our specifications. But again, we were consistently running 148 calories per serving. We rounded up to 150. Now again, the difference between 140 and 150, 10 calories, if you walk out of this room, you'll probably burn more than 10 calories.
Yeah, if your challenge is the 10 calorie, you need to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a problem with that, there's something seriously going on in your life. Sorry.
Anybody want to volunteer?
But no, I think that's a good question, Brett, because we do test every batch to be sure that it meets the specifications. I mean, we test every ingredient, we test every batch. But again, there's a tremendous amount of testing that, I mean, we'll spend almost $1 million a year in laboratory testing using third-party laboratories just to be sure that Shakeology is exactly what you're saying.
Fantastic.
And that commitment is what's so amazing about Beachbody. That commitment from everybody behind the scene is what keeps us on track. Because if you start making little compromises, and Bill, you're hyper aware of that with your experiences of the past, if you make a little tiny compromise, and then, well, this leads you to maybe a slight little compromise, and a little bit more, and before you know it, you're way down there where you meant to go over there. So the path of honesty and truth and commitment and quality and no compromise, that's still what you think you're doing, but with all these little compromise, you're not there at all. You may think you are, but this is all it takes, little compromises in all those different steps that we need to go through before you have your bag is what we're so committed not to do. And it's not easy. As you hear us talk, you'll see the process that we undergo before you take your scoop. And without that, it doesn't matter the amount of money that you've got. It doesn't matter. You've got to have a passion and a desire to deliver that because you've got it inside of you, because you cannot not do that. You need to be pure and steady on your path because that's who you are. And that's the kind of people you've got here, which is, I think, what you feel and what you're realizing when you are taking your Shakeology, is that there's a real commitment to that honest path and what we're after and what we're trying to do and what we want to share with you. And I hope that translates into how you feel when you talk about it because of how you feel when you take it.
You know, it's interesting for me to kind of look at, watch the three of you up here. I mean, this is really a dream team, especially if you think about Beachbody and who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. To be able to have the three of you with the product development experiences you've had really come from different product development type of experiences, right? Staff nutritionists to presidents, been able to work both on the nutrition level and on the physical and transformation level and on the healing level with some really remarkable individuals who have the resources to hire anyone, to work with anyone, and to bring the three of you together at Beachbody is, I think, really remarkable opportunity for us.
I feel blessed.
Yeah.
I feel really lucky.
Yeah.
I think people would be interested in just kind of hearing a little bit about how you three work together now. I mean, I think people think Shakeology was developed, okay, you have a new flavor, no big deal, not a lot happening, but I know you guys three are working on a lot. You've got a lot going on right now, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even know how to described all the things that are going on. You're seeing Shakeology, and there's a constant. It's a moving. I don't know if it's a moving target, but it's a moving organism. It's alive. So Shakeology is not set and it's being sold. It's whole food coming from farmers that they're growing within a global situation that may be warming up and changing soils and changing plant material, and that amount of things just in an existing product, coupled with from the ground and the soil and the farmer and all the relationships into how to take care of that soil and that plant, the drawing process, and the moving that carefully to the manufacturing and the manufacturing tests and on and on and on, and the relationships that go along the way. That is a really big organism that's alive and pumping and constantly needs to be watched, nurtured, monitored, and upgraded. And that's the gift. We're not just kind of sitting back. We're constantly, I'm taking off somewhere to see if there's something better or there's a better relationship. I'm running things by Isabelle. I'm constantly running out to the manufacturing with Bill. I mean, and that's just the existing.
If it was up to us, right, Shakeology would be totally new, like every 4 months. It'd be a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Thank God there's Carl and there's VB to keep us relaxed here.
Yeah, we have to pull back the reins a little bit, and there's a sustainability that happens, not only in the way that you can talk about true sustainability, but it's sustainability in a company, in a business, in an economy. And that's an important thing. And Carl brings such a great aspect of that, because I'm finding something I wanted in somebody's body, like, immediately. Like, let's do that. Let's put it in there. Let's go. Let's change the formula. Let's and Isabelle's the same thing, but it's like in order for those things to happen and evolve and change and work together, it's a whole huge, wonderful experience. But there's some days it's longer than others, and so that maybe give you a little glimpse of some of the interaction, but it's a good journey.
In some respects, I kind of like to think about it that the two of you have this vision, and you're kind of ear to the ground, you know what's happening out there, you hear about really amazing superfoods. Darin hops on a plane and you go find and test and work on any of that. And then as you come through the formula, you've got 70 or 80 ingredients that kind of have to be put together. And I think most of us who are novices just think, well, you just kind of throw all that in the blender and put it in a bag. And
no, that doesn't taste very good. Actually, about 3 weeks ago, I was at a health food store at near Pavilion, you'll find. Anyway. Yeah, so I was there, and there was a bag, and had Ormus Gold, had a few things together, and I was because I was trying to find these elements and put them together, right, for myself, and I was so excited. I was just like, oh my God, they put it together, and it's, it was a great company, great quality, and I bought it back, and Carl was like, oh my God, it's like I got you like in a Gucci store. But if you get me in a Gucci store, I'm go out of my mind. But I brought it home, and I was like, this is amazing, we have to put it in Shakeology. It's got to get into that, and I was putting it in my Shakeology, which I do all the time, and bringing me things, and I tasted it. I was like, oh, I can feel it. I mean, it's just great stuff. And Carl tried it. He's like, oh my God, it's going to take 2 years just to make this thing taste good. He's like, please don't do that to me.
So keep in mind, though, that we are given the license to move on those things. It just takes time.
Eventually he's got to. Eventually it will be in there. You will all know what Artemis Gold is.
So I compared it last time to the cats. So Isabelle and Darin bring Dr. Wheeler the cats. They're kind of running all over the place, the ingredients. These are all live, whole ingredients. And then you kind of have to figure out how to put it all together. And there's a method to the madness in terms of how the pre-blends and all that happens, right?
Yeah, there's a method. We know that the complexity of Shakeology, the sequence that you add ingredients to the blender can affect the taste. I mean, it's that complex. Consider an equation with 84 different components. How many different combinations you can So the sequence, do you use a tumble blender or do you use a ribbon blender? How long do you blend? How do you ensure you get a complete blend? Again, these are the complexities from a manufacturing standpoint. Realize that we're actually at the manufacturer. I mean, we don't just give them a formulation and send some ingredients and say, can we pick up the Shakeology bags? We're actually physically there. The manufacturers we deal with are not used to customers being that involved, actually being there. In fact, they welcome it, to be honest with you, that we're there tasting what's the sequence, the quality control of Darin will source an ingredient with farmer in Peru, and all that's involved on that end. Well, when it comes to the manufacturer, we have to identify the thumbprint, if you will, the fingerprint of that particular herb to be sure that we get it every single time. From the manufacturing standpoint, from the time an ingredient arrives to the time the bag of Shakeology leaves, there's 7 different quality control steps that are done in there. Every single step, every single sequence. So again, it's a very complex. It is the most complex formula that I'm ever aware of. And again, taste is a big factor. And again, we know that someone could take, another company could take the formulation for Shakeology and putting everything in the blender, you're not going to have the same taste.
Good luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
I say give it a go. Go for it.
So,
I'll see you in 2 years.
If you do that, we'll hire
We're
you.
already off to discovering new
that's
stuff.
right.
So go
You're on
for it.
staff if you can do it. So write down this. This is the man with 6,200 products. Most complex in terms of putting them together, most expensive in terms of raw ingredients, right? And those are important pieces for you to understand about exactly, so you can appreciate the product that you have.
Well, I mean, the sincerity when I interviewed Darin and Isabelle and Carl and John, and took the job. Well, the first day I was on the job, I'm in Carl's office, and he almost reads me the riot act that I am never to change any single formulation of keeping it up. First time I've ever worked for anybody that told me that. Okay? And he means it. And he will say from time to time, are we doing the best job that we can? How can we improve what we're doing? I mean, that the bar is continually moved up. We're not satisfied with it where it is. The many things that Isabelle and Darin are working on, different combinations, different new ingredients. Darin saying Shakeology is alive. It is alive. It's continually moving. We're continually looking at what we can do to improve it.
And the more you dig in and the more you discover things, it's not like we're trying to elevate the bar. That's the difference between fun and passion and the curiosity. It's that we're not trying to give it, what we're going to do to outdo what we did last year. It's beyond that. It's because nature is, the resources are endless. And the more you get in there, the more you discover and experiment and try, the more it shows us how much there is to be had. So it's not like we have to work ours because we're so committed and dedicated and so passionate about it that it discovers us. And then we take it, we need to do something with it. So the bar is raised because we are in love with what we do, and it just happens. So it's not, it's not hard to do that. Nature will challenge us constantly and gift us.
Yeah, that's a really good point, if we can get esoteric for a second. Because at the end of the day, the passion, we're living what's true for us. Maybe from the video you can see that for me, I dig it, and I do it because it matters to me, and it lights me up. And really, when it comes down to it, these things find their way to us. It's really true.